Hope you enjoy listening to the story. My mother loves to test her heart, always wanting to see who loves her more, me or my sister. When I was 5 years old, my mother pretended to crave the candy in our hands. I hesitated for a moment, but my younger sister, without hesitation, stuffed the candy into my mother's mouth. From then on, my mother believed that her younger sister was her real treasure, and I, of course, became an indifferent child in her eyes. After the college entrance exam, my mother set the curtains on fire and wanted to test me again to see if I would rush in to save her. A few days later, my younger sister went to college in my place and conveniently took my boyfriend with her. They became a warm and loving family. As for me, I was left with nothing, not even a grave. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the time before the university entrance exam. This time, I no longer wanted to please my mother. Her bias tests were unnecessary. My sister and I were twins, and from a very young age we were used to being compared by our mother to test her love. My first memory was when I was 5 years old. That year, my mother took the two of us to Uncle Mo's house to celebrate Tet. There were guests in the guest house. Everyone was playing cards on the tea table full of melon seeds and candies. My sister and I wished each person a happy new year. Everyone praised us for being both pretty and well-behaved, then gave both of us lucky money. Only Mo did not give money, but stuffed some candies into the two children's hands, saying they were imported and very expensive. Mo also signaled for the two children to share the candies with their mother. Mother immediately understood, held my and my sister's hands, her eyes filled with anticipation. Mom also wants candy. Which of you two is willing to give it to Mom? The sound of the cards clinking together became softer. Everyone held their breath watching this test. I clenched the candy in my hand, feeling pressured by the stares of the uncles and aunts. The dark brown candy wrapper made a rustling sound in my hand. I hesitated for a second. The candy was supposed to be coffee candy. My sister and I both didn't like it, and Mom also hated the bitter taste. Before I could tell Mom that the candy wasn't good, my sister quickly peeled the candy off, tiptoed and stuffed it into Mom's mouth. Mom, Meow Meow loves you. Mom, eat all of Meow Meow's candy. Mom's face turned bitter. I reflexively took a step back, hiding the candy behind my back. Mo burst out laughing. It turned out that Meow Meow loved her mother more, and was willing to share the candy with her mother. Meanwhile, Fan Fan was stingy and scared to the point of stepping back. Her mother's expression immediately changed. She had just been praised by everyone as a good child and a good student, but now she couldn't bear to give up the candy, making her feel embarrassed. The adults burst into laughter. Grandma patted my little sister's head and praised her for being good, and my uncle teased me for being ungrateful. I stood there in panic, filled with resentment, and before I could explain, tears fell. Mom tried to swallow the bitter candy, then hugged my little sister tenderly. But when she looked at me, her eyes were cold as ice. She reached out and pulled me, causing me to stumble and almost fall. The candies fell to the ground, and my mother gritted her teeth and scolded me. You still have the nerve to cry, not even giving me a single candy. I've wasted my time raising you. I cried even harder, stuttering, Mom, I'm not sorry for the candy. I'm just sorry that you have to eat bitter food. But before I could finish, my sister broke free from her mother's arms and ran over to wipe my tears. Don't cry anymore. Here's my candy for you. She stuffed all her candy into my hand, and there were gasps of admiration all around. Meow Meow is such a sensible child. They are twins, but their personalities are so different. Why does she look so rebellious? At 3 years old, it seems like she will be selfish for the rest of her life, and she will probably never be filial in the future. I was sensitive to the fact that those words were not good. I was both angry and sad. My face was red, my palms were sweating. But I was too young. I did not know what to say to explain clearly. I could only throw the candy my sister stuffed into my hand onto the ground, crying and screaming at her. I don't want your candy, you just gave it to me because you didn't like it. My sister was sobbing, screaming, and jumping into my mother's arms. My mother stepped forward and turned me off like a bolt from the blue. Your brother, for your own good, why did you do anything to yourself? I worked so hard to raise him, and yet I raised an ungrateful person like you. My cheeks burned, my ears were ringing. I stood there frozen, even forgetting to cry. The guests continued playing cards. Occasionally someone turned back to advise my mother to calm down. My mother stepped forward to stop her, then turned to me, her voice cold. Fan, what are you still hesitating for? Quickly apologize to your mother and sister. I stood there, helpless, not understanding where I had gone wrong. But the disappointed looks from my family and Meow Meow's smug expression were like knives stabbing my heart. It hurt more than the slap just now. Finally, I choked up and said to my mother, Mom, I was wrong. From now on, I will give all my candy to you. Unexpectedly, Mother just raised her lips and smiled coldly, lifted Meow Meow's face and kissed her. Mother doesn't dare eat your food, having Meow Meow is enough. I felt so scared that I had never felt before. As if Mother was about to abandon me, as if the sky was about to fall. I burst into tears, begging my mother not to abandon me. She yelled angrily again. What are you crying about during Tet? Get your head out of the way. Only then did someone in the family begin to defend me. You guys are too much. A 5-year-old kid doesn't know anything. Mother-child love can't be tested with a piece of candy. My mom was so embarrassed by what she said. She quickly pulled me and locked me in my grandmother's small room. I cried and held onto the fat man's hand, asking to go out and find my mother. Fat man glared at me and said, Why are you looking for your mother? Don't you see? Your mother only loves Meow Meow. Just shut up and sit still. If you cry again, your mother will give you away to someone else to raise. I was so scared that I stopped crying and stood still in the dark room until it was completely dark. When it was time to eat, the fat man let me go. I sat down at the table and secretly looked at my mother's face. I was about to pick up a piece of sweet and sour fish, but when I saw Mom frown, I pulled my hand back. Mom nudged me and brought the plate of fish in front of Meow Meow. Mom carefully removed the bones from each piece of fish and fed it to her little sister. I only ate white rice, feeling sad beyond words. But what made me saddest was that from that day on, my mother only called my younger sister Bao Boy in a gentle voice. As for me, my mother started calling me by my full name coldly. That year, the story of me refusing to give my mother candy quickly became the topic of gossip among relatives. During visits, the story was spread and exaggerated. Later, at every gathering, relatives would bring up the story to ask my mother for confirmation. And my mother was always excited, never tiring, openly reenacting the love test between me and my sister. Sadly, no matter how hard I tried to please her, every time it came to the love test, I lost to Meow Meow. Every time like that, my mother would hug my sister tightly, then use her finger to poke my forehead and say something sour. See, I told you this girl Hua Fan is really not close to me at all. Her heart is like a wolf or a dog. Relatives and friends around kept exclaiming. The sound of them chewing melon seeds was louder than the sound of them chewing. Then they started to lecture me one by one on how to be filial to my mother. I sat there with my fingernails in my hand, my mind numb. I could only nod my head in agreement. I kept blaming myself. Why couldn't I pass those tests? Why was I always worse than my sister? Then gradually I started to doubt myself. Was I really as selfish as everyone said? Did I really not love my mother? So when the university entrance exam ended, my house caught fire. My mother called for help. I didn't hesitate to rush straight into the sea of fire, because I thought it was finally time for me to prove myself. In that fire I saved my mother, my sister, and my boyfriend. But I lost my life. My soul wandered around the family, just hoping to hear a word of praise from my mother. I didn't expect to hear her complaining to my sister. My mother only lit the curtain to test her promise, but who would have thought the fire would burn so big? He saved the whole family. How did he die in the fire? I have never seen anyone so stupid. Really stupid as a pig. This family is really unlucky. After Mom finished scolding him, she received the admission notice of this stupid kid to a prestigious university. She rubbed the bright red paper, smiled happily, then hugged Hua Miao and whispered in her ear, "Grandma, your lucky day has come." After that, my mother turned to outsiders and told them that Hua Miao had sacrificed herself in the fire to save her. No one doubted her words because everyone knew that Hua Miao loved her mother. But I was emotionless. There was no way I would risk my life for my mother. After the funeral, my mother released my remains. Hua Miao personally went to cancel her household registration and used my name to go to university. Shenzhou also naturally became her boyfriend. The three of them kept this secret together and lived happily ever after. Exactly 1 year after my death, Hua Miao and Tam Chu got engaged. That day, Hua Miao drank a little too much. In her drunken state, she looked at Tam Chu and said absent-mindedly, Do you know why every time Mom tested me with my sister I always won? Because Mom practiced with me beforehand. Hearing that, my soul finally let go of the resentment in my heart. It turns out that all these years I failed not because I didn't love my mother, but because my mother had warned Huamyo about all those tests in advance. She cheated from start to finish. And the person who helped her cheat was my mother, the examiner. So, when I was reincarnated and returned right on the occasion of Tet Don Cam before the university entrance exam, I decided to dress up. When I realized I had been reincarnated, I was lying on the tea table at my uncle's house, studying for my exams. My father was a sailor and could only come home for 2 months a year, so my mother often took my 2 sisters to my uncle's house to celebrate Tet. After eating, my uncle went to the study to play games, while my grandmother and the adults sat on the sofa chatting. My mother was watching TV, not paying much attention. Suddenly, as if thinking of something, Ben said absent-mindedly, "In the past, any filial son would be willing to cut meat for his mother to eat when he saw her sick." In my previous life, when I heard this sentence, my mind was still spinning with questions. I naively explained, "Mom, that's just a theory. You don't know, eating human flesh makes you sicker." Mio obediently snuggled into her mother's arms, looked up and spoke softly. "Mom, if you are sick, I am willing to cut as much meat as you want." My mother immediately praised, "My baby is so good," then turned to look at me. She threw the melon seeds onto the plate, gave a command and promised, "I know right away that you are selfish. When the time comes, you definitely won't be able to save me." So, just because of a nonsense story from a scholar, I was accused of being unfilial. But this time it was different. When my mother mentioned that filial piety meant cutting meat for her to eat, I did not rush to speak. I turned to look at Hua Meo. She still had the same confident smile as in her previous life, and once again leaned into my mother's arms, coquettishly speaking. "Mom, if you're sick, I'll cut off as much flesh as you want." Mom kissed her lightly on the cheek, extremely satisfied. Then she lifted her head, looking at me with a straight-faced look. I stretched, did my eye protection exercises and lazily said, "But I hope you live a long life, never get sick again." My mother looked at me in surprise. She probably didn't understand why her daughter, who was always dull and criticized for being unfilial, suddenly spoke so fluently. Mom hesitated for a few seconds and then stopped sarcastically. "Hua Fan, is it because you don't want to cut my meat that you're saying that?" I chuckled, leaned closer to Mom and started lifting her shirt. "Mom loves Grandma so much, let me see what part Mom cut for Grandma to eat." Fat, who was eavesdropping on the conversation beside her, couldn't help but burst out laughing. My mom's expression immediately changed. She pushed my hand away and adjusted her clothes. "Hua Fan, what are you crazy about? Didn't the teacher say you were a good student? A good student, and yet you believe in those stupid stories from the past?" That's how my mother is. She always used other people's compliments on me as a weapon to mock me. I went back to the tea table and continued doing my homework, answering calmly as I did. "But my sister believed it just now. Why didn't Mom criticize my work? Because I was too eager to study and wasn't a good student?" This sentence was like poking a fire ant's nest. Mom immediately hugged Hua Mio, whose eyes were red, then pointed at me and said in a low voice, "Hua Fan, stop trying to tear apart our relationship." As if I wasn't her daughter. My mother started jumping around like a machine gun again. "Hua Fan, what if you study well? Study and then throw it away?" A few months ago, my mother broke her bone. Didn't Mio Mio ask for leave from school to take care of my mother? The thing is, a few months ago, my mother was hit by a tram, and her little toe got a bone fracture. The doctor said it was not serious. But my mother took that opportunity to test me and asked Hua Mio to ask who could take a leave of absence from school to stay home and take care of her. Hua Mio was a terrible student, and did not get enough points in her secondary school entrance exam. My mother had to try all sorts of ways to get her into a vocational school. But once I got in, I smoked, drank, skipped school, got into fights every day, and my grades were 8th from the bottom. Studying was like not studying at all. But I was different. I studied at a key school in the city, always in the top 3 best students in the whole grade. I couldn't quit when I was about to take the university entrance exam. But my mother added a big mark to my unfilial record because of that reason. I bowed my head to do my homework, but my mouth still couldn't help it. Mom was right, my sister did ask for a day off. But how did she take care of Mom? I cooked breakfast, otherwise Mom and my sister ate leftovers from the morning, and we ordered takeout for dinner. I come home from school at 11 p.m. I have to do laundry and clean the house. What else can she do besides lying in the forest while Mom plays games? She has never poured me a glass of water, right? I smiled happily as if waiting for the right moment. "Ot Fan, why is it different from what Mom said?" "Mom said Mio Mio is very good. She will be relied on to take care of Mom in the future." Hua Mio looked at her and tears started to fall. Her voice was full of resentment. "Sister, do you hate me that much? Do you have to say I'm a bad person?" I silently replied in my heart, "I'm not bad at everything. For example, I'm really good at seducing your boyfriend. There are people who appear as soon as they are mentioned." Just as I finished thinking, my phone rang. I looked at the screen and it was Tamchu. Hua Mio also saw that name. She blinked, trying to hold back her tears, and smiled weakly. "Sister, don't mind me, quickly answer the phone." In my previous life, it was also on the day of the fire that I discovered that Hua Mio had been dating Shen Chu for a long time. At this point, they must have been seeing each other for quite some time. I swallowed the lump in my throat and reached out to answer the phone. I took a deep breath, hesitantly said, "Hello." Mio bit her lip. A flash of jealousy flashed through her eyes. I caught that look immediately. I took my phone and went out to the balcony. On the other end, Shen Chu's voice rang out. Fan, what are you doing?" I glanced at Hua Mio and then replied indifferently, "Do it." Shen Chu responded with a soft aha. "Aren't you watching TV with your sister?" In my previous life, when I heard his voice, I couldn't help but burst into tears. I told him that I had angered my mother again, and blamed myself for not being as articulate as Hua Mio. He sighed and said he would talk to Hua Mio for me. I gave her the phone and we talked for more than half an hour. When Hua Mio left the room, her face was red. I asked what they had said, and they both said it was a secret. The old story made my heart cold. I asked Shinju, "What did you call for?" He stammered, "Nothing. Just calling to check up, thinking you were watching TV with Hua Mio." He called, not for me but for Hua Mio. It's not like Hua Mio doesn't have a phone. Why does she have to contact me? Is it to increase the excitement of mixing the crumbs? A chill ran through my heart. Just as I was about to hang up, Hua Mio jumped out from behind. She snatched the phone from my hand and sobbed as she said to Tamchu, "Tamchu keeps bullying me." After saying that, she hugged her phone and went into the bedroom, locking the door for half an hour. When she came out, her eyes were redder than when she entered. She must have finished complaining to Tamchu. I took back my phone and turned to leave. Hua Mio spread her arms to stop me. Does Hua Fan just not want to know what we just said? My lips hurt, my voice full of contempt. No interest. Those words between a man and a woman, I just feel sick to my stomach. Hua Mio's face darkened. She clutched the brand new dress tightly on her body, glanced at me in my worn-out clothes, then shouted bitterly, "Hua Fan, you've been acting all arrogant." Saying that, she pushed me hard. I was caught off guard and fell to the ground. The pain made me explode. I swung my leg and knocked Hua Mio down. My mother heard Hua Mio's scream and immediately rushed over like crazy, grabbed my hair and slammed my head to the ground. "Hua Fan, you ungrateful stray dog. How dare you touch Mio Mio?" Damn, my head slammed hard on the cold brick. Just then outside, a few bright flashes of light appeared, as if someone had just set off fireworks. I was so startled that I cowered in reflex. The fireworks flying into the air reminded me of my previous life, when I was surrounded by a sea of fire and black smoke. Died of being engulfed in flames. It really hurt. I was at school when the fire broke out. Just after checking the university entrance exam results, I received a call from my mother. She was panicking on the phone. "Hua Fan, the house is on fire. Hurry up and save Mom." Amidst the cries for help and a few coughs from the smoke, I didn't hesitate and immediately rushed home. The living room was filled with black smoke. I found my mother passed out in the corner of the kitchen. I had difficulty pulling her downstairs when she said to me, the bedroom door was locked. Mio Mio and Tamchu were still trapped inside. I couldn't understand why Tamchu was locked in my room with Hua Mio. But before I could ask, Mom urged, "Honey, I'm begging you. Hurry up and save Mio Mio. I'm calling the police right now." Ever since the candy incident when I was 5 years old, my mother has never called me baby again. I've tried for 13 years and finally got her to say something like that. My heart was filled with crazy happiness, I immediately jumped up and rushed upstairs. Stuck in the bedroom door, in front of me were Hua Miao and Tam Chu hugging each other tightly. Both of them were limp from the smoke. As soon as the door opened, Tam Chu immediately protected Hua Miao and crawled out first. I looked at them with disdain. Before I could react, the burning beam fell straight down, crushing me. Shen Zhu turned back to look. Hua Miao immediately held his hand tightly. "We are not done yet. Let's wait for the firefighters to come." Shen Zhu did not hesitate, immediately turned his head away. I lay on the floor, coughing from the smoke. My chest felt like it was about to explode. Tears kept flowing. The stinging pain almost blinded me. As the flames began to lick my body, I knew that this time, I would not have a chance to survive. My house was in an old apartment complex that was about to be demolished, and there was no one else living there. My mother deliberately refused to move, making the residents stubborn and demanding more compensation. The alley was so small that 2 motorbikes could hardly pass each other, and the fire truck could not enter. Thinking back, Hua Miao had no intention of letting me survive from the start. Very quickly after that, I was engulfed in flames. The pain was like tearing my flesh apart. I was writhing in despair and slowly lost my life. It was only after I died that I learned the truth that day. When my mother went to the internet cafe to check my university grades, Hua Miao and Tam Chu sneaked into my room, locked the door and talked. My mother had no idea they were home. She had just found out that I had been admitted to a prestigious school, and was worried that I would not be filial in the future, so she tested me once again by setting fire to the curtains. Unexpectedly, the curtains were made of cheap synthetic fibers, and when they caught fire they burned fiercely, spreading to the ceiling out of control. The thick smoke almost made my mother faint. At that moment, Hua Miao and Tam Chu realized something was wrong. They wanted to run out but found the door was stuck and couldn't be opened. They knocked on the door and called for help. Only then did my mother realize that there was someone else in the house. The pain from my previous life, when I was burned alive by fire, seemed to explode in every second of my mind. I lay on the ground for a long time before I could breathe. My mother woke up, cursing me profusely, spitting straight into my face. "What are you pretending for? I just hit you once and you're already acting like a fool. What's with that look? You think I don't dare hit you? Don't forget, I'm your mother. I'm your mother." That sentence again. In her world, the 2 words mother were gilded with gold. She thought she was a golden Buddha statue, with the power to decide the life and death of her children like a god. I slowly removed her hand. Mom promised Mio would push me first. I just reacted before her foot. Why does Mom always beat and scold me? Maybe my face was very scary at that time. Mom was stunned for a moment, then got angry again. If he pushes you, you have to hit him back. You used your hands and feet, you were wrong. I burst out laughing. I grabbed Mio's hand and slapped her twice hard. She got mad and tried to fight back, so I kicked her straight in the stomach. This time I was the one who attacked first, but Mom just said, "Whoever hits another person is wrong, right?" My mom almost went crazy, grabbed a chair and threw it straight at me. I dodged it in time. She lost her balance and slipped and fell to the ground. Hua Miao came over and shielded Mom. "Sister, how can you treat Mom like that? If you're angry, just vent it on me. Why are you hitting Mom?" My uncle, aunt, and grandmother heard the noise and immediately ran over. As soon as my uncle came in, he turned me on twice like the sky. "I'll beat you to death, you ungrateful bastard. How dare you hit my mother?" My nose was bleeding and burning. I wiped the blood, glared at them all coldly, then grabbed my bag and turned to leave. Amidst the streetlights, I walked home alone. I left the family chat group, because I knew soon these great achievements of mine would be used for online chat by 738 women. My face hurt, but my heart had never been so calm. There were only 3 days left until the university entrance exam. Every minute and every hour of my life had to be devoted to studying. The next day, Mom brought Hua Miao home. Hua Miao moved in and slept in the same room as Mom. Mom only cooked for the 2 of them, treating me like heir. I was secretly happy, quietly burying my head in my studies, munching on bread I made to pound later. 3 days later, I entered the exam room. In my previous life, I passed the exam to a school in the 985 system. In this life, I passed straight into Tan Hoa. As soon as I knew my score, the homeroom teacher hugged me. Her warm hand patted my skinny back. The warmth gradually transferred through my old t-shirt, making my eyes sting. Congratulations, Hua Fan. As soon as the homeroom teacher's congratulations were finished, my phone rang. I picked up the phone and before I could say anything, my mother shouted, Hua Fan. Hurry up and save Mom, the house is on fire. My hand gripped the phone tightly, my whole body shaking. Not only because I knew the fateful moment from my previous life had arrived, but also just last night I discovered a secret, a truth that I never knew in my previous life. Waking up in the middle of the night to drink water, I accidentally heard Hua Mio crying in my mother's room. Mom, I'm really jealous of my sister. She got over 700 points. She will definitely pass the Tanhua or Bakdai exams. As for you, you are useless, you can't even pass the BAT private school now. My mother gently comforted me, honey, all the money your father has earned over the years, I have saved for you. You are a filial son, I just want you to live happily. Hearing that, Hua Miao cried even louder. Mom, I am so old and still spend your and Dad's money, I really feel ashamed. God is so unfair. Why did he give such a smart head to an unfilial child like her? Mom, if she passes the Tanhua exam, will she support you? My mother laughed coldly. What else can she expect from her? Hua Miao sobbed and said, Mom, I also want to go to university. If you have a good degree like her, you will definitely find a good job, then earn money for Mom to spend. Mom was silent for a long time, then comforted her, honey, don't cry anymore. Don't worry, Mom will definitely let you be like Fan, go to university. Mom, how is that possible? I don't need to worry. Didn't I have an appointment to go boating with Tamchu tomorrow? Just go out and play, I'll find a way. It turns out, my mother had known for a long time that Hua Miao and Tamchu were seeing each other. I stood outside the door, cold from head to toe, because I understood that the fire that year was not to test how much I loved her. Instead, she had planned to promise to replace me, to continue living the life that belonged to me. Thinking of this, I picked up the phone and said to him, Mom, don't panic. I'll call the fire department right away. My mother immediately got on the phone and promised, Fan. Are you still human? You are a piece of shit. You think I don't know that the fire truck can't get in our neighborhood? I am your mother, can you bear to watch her die? Oh, so she also knows that the fire truck can't get in. I was about to hang up, but thinking about Su Miao and Shenju talking in my bedroom, I suddenly changed my mind. I sighed, Mom. I forgot about the car not being able to get in. Mom, try to hold on, I'll be right back to save you. Hanging up, the homeroom teacher looked at me worriedly. Hua Fan, what's wrong? Miss, my house is on fire, and the fire truck may not be able to get there in time. I have to go home right away to check. In my previous life, when I received this call, I didn't say another word to the teacher, I just ran home. This time, the head teacher held my hand and promised, Fan, firefighting is no joke. Have you called the fire department yet? Let me go with you. I immediately called 119. At this moment, the teacher looked around. Was Shen Chu not in class today? Before the college entrance exam, everyone made an appointment to go to school to check their scores. Today the class was full except for Shen Chu. I knew clearly that at this moment, Tam Chu and Hua Miao were stuck in my bedroom. The teacher had to stop, so she didn't wait for him anymore. The teacher drove me and Nam Fong's 3 friends straight home. But because of the narrow alley, the car was forced to stop a distance from my house. We ran as fast as we could to get there. Downstairs, it was already filled with smoke. Based on my memories from my previous life, I didn't run around like I had when I lost my head. I rushed straight into the kitchen, found my mother, and pulled her out safely. I took my mother downstairs and she woke up in a daze, and as soon as she woke up, she grabbed my hand. Hua Fan, your brother and Tamchu are still trapped in the room. Hurry up and save them. Tamchu, I'll stop asking maliciously, Mom. Are you confused by the smoke? Tamchu is my boyfriend. Why is he in our bedroom with Hua Miao? My mother was panicking, she was very sober. Oh, the bedroom lock is broken, the 2 of them are trapped inside. Just now you were banging on the door for help. Now it's quiet, something big must be happening. Honey, hurry up and save them. This word treasure is so ironic. I didn't realize it in my previous life. It turns out it wasn't love at all, it was just a talisman. I shook my head and looked at my mother helplessly. She was just scared. Yesterday Hua Miao said she was going boating today. How could she be at home now? If you don't believe me, try calling her. I took out my phone and dialed Hua Miao's number. No one answered the call. I turned to reassure my mother. She must have been having so much fun that she didn't hear the call. My mother burst into tears and collapsed at my feet. Panfan, I won't fire you. It was true that Hua Myo and Tamchu were stuck in the room. Mom told me the truth. Tamchu had been secretly seeing Hua Myo for a long time. Hua Myo was so infatuated with her that she had a crush on her. They were originally planning to go out today, but for some reason they changed their minds and locked themselves at home to date, and then got stuck in the fire. The homeroom teacher and the 3 male students who were with me were all shocked. I looked at my mother shocked. She said, Hua Myo is secretly having an affair with your boyfriend. Today those 2 locked themselves in my room and got trapped in the fire. My tears fell. Mom, why? She is my biological sister, how could she do that? You are my biological mother, why didn't you stop her? Mom almost went crazy, she was just short of asking the devil to come down and beg me. Baby, this is Sumyo's fault, but now is not the time to save her. Hurry up and save them, it will be too late. I remembered my previous life, when I was crushed by the iron frame. Shunju and Sumyo turned around and left without hesitation. My eyes were bloodshot, I pretended to be dizzy as if I was about to lose consciousness. Then I weakly said, okay, pretending to run up to save people. But the teacher and 3 male friends immediately held me back. Hua Fan, how can you save anyone now? The fire is so big, if you go up there, you will only kill one more person. My mother was furious and turned to curse the teacher. What kind of person is she? She dared to stop my daughter from saving someone. My mother had never cared about my studies, to the point that she didn't even know my homeroom teacher's name. The teacher pulled me behind her and answered frankly, I am Hua Fan's homeroom teacher. I followed her to prevent her from acting impulsively. I have to ensure the safety of my students. At that moment, the phone I rang was the fire department calling. After confirming that the car could not enter the alley, the firefighters rushed to the scene with fire extinguishers. When Sumyo and Shinjo were pulled out, both of them were already gasping for breath. Their bodies burned and their flesh peeling off. As soon as we got to the hospital, we were immediately taken to the ICU. My mother went crazy. She grabbed my hair and beat me wildly. I beat you to death, you bastard. If you had saved her sooner, she wouldn't have ended up like this. Because I had just passed the Tonhoa exam, and my house caught on fire, there were even reporters following me to film. The video of my mother beating me in the hospital immediately climbed to the top of search results. But thanks to the teacher and 3 male students telling the truth about Hua Myo and Tamchu having an affair beforehand, public opinion immediately changed. Everyone was on my side. My mother did not receive any benefits, but was scolded everywhere as a disaster in disguise. My mother was constantly on duty outside the ICU. I brought water and food, sat beside her and cried with her. Every time the relationship between Hua Myo and Tamchu was mentioned, I bowed my head and bit my lips, sobbing softly. I played the role of a gentle, weak daughter, an older sister who had been betrayed by both her boyfriend and her younger brother. And Hua Myo, after 10 days of fighting for her life, finally passed away. The doctor broke the news. My mother screamed like a wounded wolf. Her eyes were red as blood. Her hand pointed straight at me and stopped. Hua Fan, if it weren't for you and that teacher seeing her dying but not saving her, your brother wouldn't have died. I have to sue you, sue all of you to jail. She could not have imagined that the treasure she had poured all her love into would be the one to pass away before her. She had not yet had the chance to enjoy the filial piety she had hoped for all these years. My mother looked at me like I was a villain. I calmly looked back at her and said each word clearly. Mom, you love Hua Myo so much. Why didn't you climb up and save her yourself? You were no different, you also saw her die without saving her. One sentence made her choke. Unable to say anything, she just sat in the middle of the hospital corridor, rolling around and crying like crazy. I didn't pay any more attention to her until I saw Hua Myo's body. She, who had always taken care of her beauty, was now burned to a crisp, covered in sores, with blood and blindness flowing everywhere. Her once carefully maintained fair skin was now nothing but charred, black patches. While alive, she always had new clothes, but in death, she was left without a single piece of clothing, having been burned to death by fire. I bowed my head, fondling the soft old t-shirt on my body. Suddenly I remembered that since I was 5 years old, I had never worn new clothes. At that time, someone asked my mother why she didn't dress the twins identically, so they could be easily recognized. She smiled and replied, "Our family is very poor, we don't have enough money to buy matching clothes. They are all old clothes that people give us, they are not similar. But the truth is, my father gives almost all his salary to my mother, only keeping a little for living expenses. My family is not poor, it's just that all the money goes to Hua Miao. She studied dance and piano, but she skipped everything. Her clothes were always new, while everything I wore was hand-me-downs. Right in Miao's closet, her mother bought her the best part of the cemetery. I remembered my previous life, when my mother threw me into the gutter without even a stick of incense. I sighed. Mom, from the beginning to the end the only person you loved was Hua Miao, right? Actually, your hatred for me didn't start with the 5-year-old candy incident. Mom hated you right from the moment you were born, right? My mother looked silently at the picture of Miao on the tombstone. Then she nodded, her voice clear. Yes, from the beginning I didn't like you. Mom was in labor for 3 days and 3 nights, her amniotic fluid ran out, and she finally had to have a cesarean section. The doctor said it was because you were lying horizontally in your belly that you couldn't have a normal birth. I laughed bitterly. Mom, Miao was born 1 kilo heavier than me. I never thought about it. Could it be that she kicked me, causing me to turn upside down in your womb? My mother paused, her facial muscles twitching endlessly. But in the end, she still looked at me with a sarcastic gaze, and laughed so strangely. Hua Fan, your sister is dead, and you still want to defame her? You're happy, right? You and Hua Miao are twins born from the same mother, one is dead, what are you living for? She pulled out a sharp knife from her sleeve that she didn't know when she had hidden it, and before she could say anything, she stabbed it straight at me. I was startled and dodged, falling to the ground. She rushed forward like a wild animal, but someone grabbed her hand. I slowly raised my head. It was Dad and I were not close. He was at sea all year round. He only came home to get tattooed 3 times a year. But every time he came back, he brought 2 identical gifts, one for me, one for Hua Miao. Only when I was with my father did Miao and I truly feel treated fairly. When my father heard that she was severely burned, he landed mid-flight to return home immediately. Unfortunately, he did not get to see his little girl one last time. His eyes were bloodshot, his stubble still unshaven. I called out softly, "Dad." He snatched the knife from Mom's hand, helped me up and shielded me from behind. He shouted angrily, "Miao Miao is gone, we only have Fan as our daughter, how could you do something like that?" My mother had no more tears left. She just screamed until her voice was hoarse. What if she did it? What if she stabbed me once? I was also slashed once when I left her. My father spoke slowly but very tightly. That knife was not only for Fan's sake but for both daughters. As a surgeon, to bring life into this world. If she did it today, it would be sending them to their deaths. My mother lost her lips and her face was twisted. Yes, I wanted her dead. She never loved me, the only one who loved me was Miao Miao. I can't take it anymore. Mom, I've always loved you. You're the one who set up so many tests to make people think I don't love you. But Mother knew clearly that every time she took those tests, she told Hua Miao in advance. She never gave her a chance to win. Half a month after preparing for Hua Miao, Shun Chu's condition stabilized again. He was transferred from the ICU to a regular ward. Shun Ju was lucky to survive, but now he faces a long period of treatment and recovery, which is both horribly embarrassing and excruciatingly painful. When I visited Shun Ju, tears were streaming down his face, and he could only say 2 sentences. "Apologize and let me die." I looked at him, who was bandaged to the point of looking like a mummy, my eyes cold, and whispered close to his ear. "Shun Ju, I do not accept your apology. I won't help you get out either. The treatment is very painful, so you just have to endure it. What I went through in my previous life, he has to pay back 100, 1,000 times over. If not, what would be the point of me coming back to life? Of course, even if he survived in the end, he would be no different from a monster. Because the burn was too deep, the area was too large, and it could not be grafted. The week before the first day of school, Shun Ju's parents had to listen to their son scream in pain all day long while changing the bandages, and finally they could not bear it anymore. They sued my mother. There was no such thing in the previous life. Because I was the one who died, and Hua Miao and Tamchu were safe and sound, happily traveling together at that time. The court accepted the petition and conducted a thorough investigation. It was eventually determined that the fire was caused by the curtains catching fire. During the interrogation, My mother could not bear the pressure and confessed that she was the one who started the fire. She tried to defend herself. I just wanted to see if Hua Fan would save me. No one expected the curtains to burn so badly. I also didn't know that Tam Chu was in the house. I am innocent and do not agree to pay compensation. He loves my eldest daughter but secretly flirts with my second daughter, and even sneaks into my house. He got burned because he sowed the wind and chased the storm. What about Tam Chu? He just wanted to die, so he refused to say anything about that day. Everything was over in the end. My father couldn't bear it, so he took the initiative to use the family savings to compensate Tam Chu. My mother didn't see that she was wrong, and even madly punched my father. Was he crazy? Miao Miao was dead, but he still took all the money to pay compensation to the family. Without any money left, how would I live in the future? My father suppressed his anger and pushed her away. She was the one who started the fire. If she hadn't wanted to test Fan's promise, would Miao Miao have died? Would Tam Chu have been burned? She was the one who killed Miao Miao, and yet she didn't even know how to apologize. My mother cried like a madwoman, crying to the end, eyes red with bloodshot, looking at Dad coldly killing. Hua Fan is ungrateful. I know he passed the Tanhua exam, so I just wanted to test if he still cares about me or not. Where did I go wrong? My dad shook his head in disappointment. Let's get a divorce. My mother was stunned. Then suddenly she rushed to hug my father. Teeth and beat him. He wanted a divorce. On what basis did he want to divorce me? Based on the fact that I trusted her so much and didn't expect her to be so cruel. I found the right moment to tell my dad about the conversation between my mom, Aunt and Hua Miao that I accidentally overheard that day. After listening, my dad gently patted my head. Fan, you've worked hard. I couldn't help but let my tears flow. The man in front of me for the past 18 years has never been with me long enough, only knowing how to work hard and give money to his mother. Because of that, he always feels guilty towards his wife and my two sisters. In my previous life, I died in a fire. My mother took my remains and threw them into a dirty ditch. When Hua Miao entered school, she informed my father but lied that the dead person was Hua Miao. My father hurriedly returned. But when he visited Hua Fan at school, he recognized Hua Miao at first glance. He flew into a rage and argued with my mother. My mother was blatant. Such a good university, how could she abandon it? After all, the two of them looked exactly the same, so what if Miao Miao pretended to be Fan and lived a life of regret? Dad was so heartbroken that his eyes were red. I could still close my eyes and let it go. But what about the secret? How did Fan's boyfriend become Miao Miao's lover? And why did Grandma throw her daughter into the sewer without even giving her a tombstone? I looked at Dad, who was arguing for me to the end, and couldn't help but think to myself, maybe my absent-mindedness was inherited from him. Even though he was away from home all year round, he could see through all the lies with just one glance. He loved me, it was just that he wasn't good at showing it. Back then, Mom was so choked up by Dad's questioning that she couldn't refute. Later, fearing that my father would sooner or later discover the whole truth, she took the initiative to propose a divorce. Using the excuse of having worked so hard to raise a child for so many years, she forced my father to leave the house empty-handed. My father said nothing. He quietly went to the ditch where my mother had once released me, scooped up handfuls of sticky mud, and took them with him when he set sail. At sea, he dropped those handfuls of mud back into the water, as if to replace me. Back to freedom. My daughter, go clean. Rest in peace in the ocean. Dad will always be with you. My mother refused to sign the divorce papers, so my father decided to go to court. In court, when my father was determined to leave, my mother turned to the judge and said, I asked for custody of Hua Fan. The judge was less bored. Madam, your daughter is 18 years old. The issue of custody is no longer necessary. My mother then woke up. She gently stroked her silver hair, turned to me and asked, Honey, you are an adult now, you don't need me to raise you anymore. From now on you should be my support, right? She kept her voice low, clearly trying to please me. Because she had lost her most beloved daughter, now she could only cling to me. I did not reply. My mother still stubbornly wanted to hear the answer. Fan, will you treat me well, or your father? My lips turned pale, and in my mind appeared the image of myself for the past 10 years always trying to find ways to please her, trying to get a little love in exchange. I slightly curved my lips. Mom, Dad passed my test. But you unfortunately didn't. My mother treated him, tears streaming down her face. In the end, my mother signed the divorce papers. My father left home empty-handed just like in his previous life. The only difference was that this time, the money in the house was used to compensate the widow. My mother was left with an empty house, nothing left. My father rented a 2-bedroom apartment. He also no longer worked at sea as hard as he used to. Whenever I had a day off, I would go back to live with my father. We didn't talk much, but the atmosphere was always light and pleasant. As for my mother, after the fire, she moved to live with my uncle. In less than 2 months, my fat man started smashing bowls and throwing chopsticks, cursing and calling her a freeloader all day long. My mother endured it a few times, but when the two of them started fighting, my mother used a knife to cut off one of my fat man's hands. As she did so, she screamed, "It's your fault. If you hadn't urged me to use candy to test Mio Mio's feelings that year, I wouldn't be where I am today." My uncle took me to the hospital. I received a phone call and went to visit him. At that time, I heard that Tamchu had jumped off a building and committed suicide. He could not bear the excruciating physical pain, nor could he face his own inhuman, ghostly appearance. He could not bear criminal responsibility. She was so angry that she had to swallow her anger. She forced my grandmother to pool all the savings in the house to buy another apartment and ordered the whole family to absolutely not bring my mother back. My uncle, worried about his family, also cut off contact with my mother from then on. In the winter of my 2nd year of college, my mother froze to death in front of Hua Mio's grave. My father was the one who paid for her funeral. I went to my mother's grave and took out a handful of candy wrappers. They were all coffee candy wrappers. They were the ones my mother had left me over the years. Every time there were all kinds of candy in the box, my mother and Mio would choose the good ones and stuff the bitter coffee ones for me. Even though I knew this candy was bitter, I still ate it piece by piece. I tried to find the last bit of sweetness in the bitter taste. That way I tried to hold on to the bit of motherly love that I always longed for. After lighting the incense, I reached into my pocket and took out 2 coffee candies. I peeled one and put it in my mouth, while giving the other to my father. Over the years, I had gotten used to that bitter yet sweet taste. The wind blew, and the candy wrappers fluttered across the cemetery. I put my arm around my dad and said softly, "Dad, let's go home." That's all. Thank you for taking the time to listen. Don't forget to like and subscribe to hear more interesting stories. Goodbye and see you again.